Ride-or affection and loyalty are the foundations of Jim Jones's reputation, and after 20 years of standing next to Chrissy Lampkin, he has finally spoken up. Furthermore, what he said went beyond simple assertions. They were daggers. Fans were already in shock when Chrissy's wedding was revealed. But Jim's, according to some, it's the most heartbreaking breakdown in the history of hip-hop relationships. 20 years, in one startling turn of events, 20 years of pledges, plans, public conflicts, and then private reconciliations were all broken. Supporters claim that Chrissy's life was a waste of 2 entire decades. Additionally, the man who once declared she would always be his is suddenly disintegrating before our very eyes. When Chrissy made a shocking declaration as she entered the reunion tape, it astonished the entire world. "My spouse and I are wed." The quiet that ensued wasn't just quiet. It was 4K television of heartbreak. Jim went cold, makers frightened, and there was a tightness in the air that made your chest hurt. Jim has finally spoken after days of unending conjecture, leaks, and rumors. This incident is now much more than a reality TV moment because of what he said and disclosed. Leaked voicemails, confidential texts, industry betrayal, and the truth that might destroy everything. Stay put, because what I'm going to tell you will make you tremble. As Chrissy Lampkin stepped onto the reunion stage, time paused as she said, "I'm married." Fans no longer merely watched reality TV. They were witnessing 20 years of love, silence, and sacrifice collapse in real time on video. Jim Jones did not move, blink, or flinch. In the history of love and hip-hop, his quiet was more powerful than any profanity, argument, or mic drop. But what came next? The betrayal that developed minute by minute, the leaks and the recordings transformed this reunion into a worldwide scandal. An unknown Instagram account named at the Industry Leaks was the source of the first crack. They left a voicemail that was purportedly recorded by Jim a few hours after the taping. He spoke in a strained, nearly broken voice to a friend, saying, She isn't letting me breathe." That 14-second video went viral, with Twitter users analyzing every pause and sigh, with some even saying you could hear the sound of glass clinking in the room. "Even give me the chance. Buddy, I had the ring, I had the entire plan." Background: did Jim have alcohol when he left that message? Bloggers presented it as the sound of a man's heart finally breaking after 20 years of stress, and fans couldn't stop playing it. Some people posted cruel memes ridiculing his remorse, while others wept in sympathy. Then came the text messages. Screenshots of the claimed shade room between Jim and his mother appeared. "I was gone, do it right this time. Mama Jones. She should have waited," he wrote. "Jimmy, she waited long enough. You can't expect her to remain motionless after 20 years. Boy." The interaction sent fans into a frenzy. Mama Jones, who had previously fought with her on television, was now supporting Chrissy, if even she acknowledged that Chrissy was justified. What did that tell about how deeply the internet went into overdrive? Within hours, #Justice for Jim trended, with supporters arguing that he was duped and taken by surprise, while others gathered under #Team Chrissy, asserting that her patience had long before run out. One of the most popular tweets was SIS proposed to him in 2011. He had 13 years to equal her vitality. "Don't cry just yet," someone else retorted. He was going to do it. She took that opportunity away from him. Instead of empowerment, this is betrayal. With followers sharing old versions of each proposal, the verbal battle was fierce. The biggest bombshell, however, didn't come from fans. It came from backstage. It seemed as though the internet was collectively rewatching their entire relationship in real time, assembling the evidence of who was right, who was wrong, and who had wasted whose life. Every dramatic argument, every tearful reconciliation. During a confrontation, a videographer hired for behind-the-scenes footage unintentionally left his camera rolling. Within a day, the video was leaked to TikTok, showing Jim barging into Chrissy's dressing room with his voice raised and security scurrying behind him. "So, you've just gone. Drop that on me. Before everyone. No warning. No call. No nothing," he yelled. Without hesitation, Chrissy snapped back, remaining in her gorgeous chair. "Jimmy, I've been warning you for 20 years, but you've never heeded me. I tired of pleading with you to pick me, so I made the decision to go with myself." A man was publicly humiliated and denied his opportunity in one side of the video, while a woman regained her dignity after decades of disappointment in the other. Then came the whisper that made things even more messy. Chrissy's new husband wasn't Reddit, was flooded with conspiracy threads as followers rummaged through old images, circling faces in the background, and speculated on which longtime buddy had become the new husband. Insiders said that he had been a part of their circle for years. Bloggers pledged to expose the truth as names began to trend. And if the allegations were true, this was betrayal from within their own community rather than just sadness. Jim remained silent for a long time, posting nothing, no subtweets, no cryptic captions, not even a song. Fans thought that Jim was broken, while some said he was planning. The quiet was deafening for a man who is renowned to voice his opinion. Jim went live on Instagram late at night, and the room was dark. Maybe it was, perhaps she should have left me long ago. But don't any of you tell me I don't love her? I loved that woman every single day. His chains were gone, and his voice was heavy with defeat. Everyone was talking, like 20 years was wasted. Single day, I simply don't know how to express it the way she desired. And now she's gone. The comments were blurry, with some applauding his honesty and others making fun of his timing. However, before anybody could gather their breath, another leak occurred. I lost my queen. I lost my name, even if it was an unreleased song. Tasha K, who is notorious for delivering bombshells, posted a supposed studio tape of Jim rapping lines that sounded like a confession. She wore white, I wore disgrace, 20 years. Fans didn't care if it was a freestyle or something else. They took it as gospel. Some criticized him for using his grief as a publicity stunt, while others felt it was the most vulnerable thing he had ever made. Rashidita responded with a mysterious Instagram story. This is why you set limits early. Yandi went live, urging her fans. Ladies, don't waste decades waiting for what you deserve today. You cannot wait indefinitely for someone to see your value. In her comments, Mama D even referred to Chrissy's wedding as the clapback of the century. Celebrities weren't merely observing, they were stoking the flames, but as the story began to take shape, another twist appeared. An alleged email leaked online from a VH1 producer revealed that Chrissy had told production about her marriage weeks prior to filming, and it was decided to keep the information from Jim for maximum effect. The email had the following line: "This will be the moment that defines the season." The fact that this was a professional setup rather than merely a personal betrayal left fans in disbelief. Jim had not only been caught off guard by Chrissy, but also by the network that created his reality TV show. Fans demanded accountability from VH1, while others defended the network, claiming Jim had profited from reality TV drama for years and was now just on the receiving end. The debate continued, and Jim's reputation was in jeopardy. Legacy boycotts were suddenly being organized. Jim shared a black and white picture of him and Chrissy from 2007 with the remark, "Forever, my lady, even if forever ain't mine no more." Jim's post received over 1 million likes in a single day, and fans rushed the page. Heartbreaking, nostalgic, and angry comments were made by some who urged Chrissy to change her mind, while others urged Jim to finally let her go. However, the rumors persisted, with sources claiming Jim wasn't finished and that he was secretly getting ready for an interview with Tal, in which he would divulge every detail, including every argument, betrayal, and secret that Chrissy believed would remain a secret. The first part of this series ended with a disturbing thought. This wasn't just a split. Rumor left followers waiting for the next bite to drop. Would Jim finally regain control of the story? Or would this reveal kill him completely? The fallout from Jim Jones's late-night Instagram Live didn't just simmer. It exploded. The words he spoke, the tears he shed, this was the breakdown of a love story that had defined reality TV for a generation. Jim's next move could either change the course of history or permanently end his legacy. Change the course of history or permanently end his legacy. He made an effort to keep quiet, and the ensuing silence was sufficient to start a second wave of chaos that swept the internet. But this time, suspicion rather than sympathy spread because, as Jim attempted to reclaim his truth, a new set of leaks appeared that threatened to completely upend the story. It began with the video, which was shared by an anonymous account who contacted VH1 Receipts, showed Jim in an angry phone conversation with a man who fans quickly recognized as one of his closest business colleagues. Jim's voice was sharp and defensive, saying, "Don't tell me she'd blindside me. I've been new. Let her have her moment. I just don't want the cameras to know." Those 19 seconds set off a chain reaction of questions. Did Jim truly know about Chrissy's marriage beforehand? Was his quiet during the reunion a shock or a calculated move? Fans were divided. One viral tweet stated, "He knew, and he still let her break the internet." Others claimed the tone of his voice was unmistakable, proving he wasn't caught off guard and that he was outplayed. Still others claimed the call was a hoax, put together to make him look foolish. "Now, that's performance art," said one person. "No, he's just trying to look good." Another said, "When guys make mistakes, they do that." However, the internet was unable to decide before the following blow, which was purportedly taken from Chrissy's phone and featured text, was delivered. Brief but damaging texts were sent between Chrissy and an enigmatic acquaintance named MM. "Then let me give you the life you deserve. No waiting, no May. Chrissy, he'll never change. I can't keep waiting. Chrissy, you already have. Just us." The screenshots went viral. Who is M? Thoughts were racing. Some fans thought it was Marcus Bellamy, the famous architect Chrissy had reportedly been seen with at events months earlier, while others thought it might be someone even closer to home. The idea that another man had been offering her everything Jim couldn't was too much for fans, who had been clinging to the fantasy of Chrissy and Jim, while for those who applauded her independence, it was proof that she had finally chosen herself and someone else. Jim's camp retaliated. Tasha K doubled down. posting what she claimed was a voice note from Chrissy to a friend, in which Chrissy's voice wavered as she said, "I'm not sure." But within hours, one of his entourage members, speaking anonymously to a gossip blog, insisted the screenshots were fake, fabricated, and planted to make Jim look weak. Did not intend to harm him. To rescue myself, I took this action. After I gave him 20 years, he gave me limbo. Someone who provided me a future instead of just promising it was what I needed. The internet collapsed due to the leak. Heartbreak, respect, and rage were all expressed on Twitter by fans at the same time. Just once, a thread that went popular said, 20 years wasted. That is to say, 20 years invested in a man who never paid off. She lost nothing. Another trended at the same rate. She could have gone without making him seem bad. This was retaliation, not harmony. Furthermore, then the most shocking discovery of all occurred. A purportedly leaked email that was provided to VH1 producers by Jim's attorney. In it, Jim's camp threatened legal action for emotional pain and character damage, accusing the network of purposefully arranging the reunion to degrade him. One terrifying line appeared in the email. "If the uncut version of this video airs, you will be accountable for the legacy of my client being destroyed." VH1 remained mute, of course, but insiders said the network was frantically trying to decide whether to preserve one of its biggest stars or capitalize on the controversy for ratings. Chrissy finally spoke up, but she did so with an image rather than words. She shared on Instagram a picture of her husband's and her hands together, the wedding band gleaming in the dim light. In just a few minutes, the photo received 500,000 likes with the straightforward caption, "Peace looks good on me." Her comments were inundated with greetings, encouragement, and support from her fans. However, in the same sentence, others filled she is accused of betraying Jim and treating him cruelly and disrespectfully. Then, as though predetermined by the cosmos itself, Jim answered, not directly, not publicly, but through another leak. A voice message purportedly from Jim to Mama Jones surfaced in which he swore, "She really left me, Ma," and the insane I was going to surprise her with the ring. I thought, she isn't even letting me say it. Mama Jones's memo answer was honest, sincere, and harsh. "You have 20 years, Jimmy, to spread the word. You can stop worrying about timing now." The internet went wild. Once more, 2 times in 1 week, Mama Jones has sided with Chrissy. It was unbelievable to the fans. The woman who had argued with Chrissy on national television was suddenly her strongest supporter. Once again, the narrative changed as hashtags trended and memes went viral. Jim wasn't merely devastated, he had the place to himself. The betrayal, however, went even farther. Jim had been given numerous chances to pop the question to Chrissy on camera, with production prepared to pay for extravagant proposals, but he consistently turned them down. According to a former Love and Hip Hop producer, on his terms, he desired to claim the producer. However, such terms never appeared. Fans of Chrissy who had witnessed her grovel, beg, and even get down on one knee were hurt by the revelation. For many, it was the last piece of evidence that Jim had squandered Chrissy's prime. Jim, though, was not done. One late evening, he performed a freestyle entitled "Forever Ain't Forever" on SoundCloud. The lyrics were scathing, resentful, and tragic. "I'll do it. You said I do. You still walked away from the pledge 20 years later. I was defeated. I suppose I was mistaken to do it incorrectly." In just a few hours, the song became the most popular topic on the internet. Fans sobbed, examined, and argued over whether it was manipulation or art. Another twist, however, came before the dust could settle. An informant purportedly posted a grainy image of Jim exiting a private dinner with Chrissy's longtime friend and Camila Joel Santana's wife. The picture was hazy, the one that fans were sent into a tailspin despite the uncertain context. Was Jim on the move already? Was this a retaliation, a comeback, or just a coincidence? Camila and Jim didn't talk about it. However, there was enough conjecture to shatter the internet once more. During the week, the battlefield was clear and closed. Chrissy felt at ease, Jim felt hurt, and the fans were in the front row as a 20-year story came to an end. The stakes were higher than ever, though, and the leaks became more persistent and the rumors louder, because the biggest bombshell, they said, had not yet been revealed. A producer made fun of a gossip blog. Are you certain that the end is near? No, they haven't even touched on the greatest secret yet, and this story will be viewed differently by everyone when it is released. In an instant, the next explosion was ready to go off. Would Jim eventually give up the invoices he had threatened to withhold? Would the name of Chrissy's husband be revealed for good? Alternatively, would the manipulation controversy on VH1 reveal everything? In any case, one thing was obvious. It wasn't over yet, not close at all. The one that I thought the internet had seen everything. The voicemails that were leaked, the screenshots, and the freestyle. However, the story of Chrissy Lampkin and Jim Jones was far from over. No one was ready for the crescendo that it was building towards, because the last round of disclosures revealed more than just heartache. Reputations, friendships, and legacies that had been firmly established in hip-hop culture for many years were in danger of being destroyed. This last act's first blow was delivered by the blog Harlem Truths. a tiny gossip website that somehow obtained a video that no one had anticipated seeing. The blurry video, which was purportedly shot in 1971 and kept in Chrissy's family's possession in Harlem, records showed a teenage Chrissy holding a newborn. Jimmy never knew, was scrawled in hand on the VHS box, and the video quickly went viral on Twitter. Did this actually happen? Did Chrissy have a secret child from decades ago with Jim? A child in secret from decades ago with Jim. Hours later, another bomb was dropped by Harlem Truths. Letters purportedly written by Chrissy to a confidant in the late 1990s that have been scanned. Fans were gasping at one cue. I'm still waiting for him to grow up, but my child is worthy of more than unfulfilled expectations. The letters rekindled the belief that Chrissy had subtly brought up a child as they waited for Jim to intervene, keeping the truth from the public. Fans poured conjecture into time. Did Chrissy eventually leave and get married to someone else because of this child? If it was true, and was Jim the father? Jim once more spoke up, this time in a ferocious Instagram live that reached a height of more than 150,000 people watched. He said, "I don't know nothing about no secret kid," while sitting in a studio with his chains shining and his eyes heavy with fatigue. "Stop teasing my name, you guys. I was in love with that woman, but she ended up with another man. It's that simple. Avoid starting changing the past to paint me as a villain." Despite his strong statements, fans weren't persuaded. Everything about the video, the quiet, the timing suggested a more complex narrative. And then the bombshell of all shockers arrived. Now an adult Chrissy's child went live. All shockers arrived. Now an adult Chrissy's child went live. Their facial features became hazy for voice a little distorted, private. The message, however, was very clear. The child of Chrissy Lampkin is me. I will not identify my father. Right now, that isn't significant. My mother's tranquility is what counts. She is entitled to happiness and freedom from the constraints of her past. Internet connectivity was disrupted by the broadcast. Fans screamed, argued, and wept. Who could have been the father if not Jim? How, if he existed, could this truth have remained hidden for more than 50 years? With the public in shock, Harlem Truths struck once more, revealing purportedly leaked emails between VH1 producers. The texts implied that Chrissy's child had been known to the network for intentionally suppressed the plot for years in order to maintain Jim's fanbase and protect ratings. The disclosure rocked the entertainment world, with one producer even writing, "If this ever gets out, we're finished." VH1 was criticized by fans for profitably exploiting and stifling the experiences of black women, and they demanded a boycott. Stars have their say. These networks don't care about us. They only care about drama, never our reality, Rashidita wrote. Cardi B went live and said, "This is why I detest the industry. They pick and choose what story benefits them and toss us aside." Yandi also added, "All I'll say is this, Chrissy deserves better. And for good reason." Chrissy was apparently upset behind the scenes, and according to insiders, she never meant for her child to be brought into the spotlight. One source said that she sobbed when speaking with a friend in private, stating, "This would never have happened in this manner. Peace was unachievable, but I wanted it more than headlines." They weren't letting go when the internet smelt blood. In the meantime, Jim's camp became defensive. His attorneys reportedly wrote declarations requesting paternity evidence, retaliating against what they described as an effort to damage his reputation through smear campaigns. There were rumors that Jim was thinking of doing a live DNA test on TV to end the rumors. There was disagreement among the fans. Some pleaded with him to avoid resorting to theatrics from reality TV. Others insisted on seeing the show, but merely when the fire appeared to be at its maximum temperature. An additional puzzle piece was leaked by Yandi. She reposted an old Love and Hip Hop clip on her Instagram story in which Chrissy begs Jim to get married and create a family. Yandi captioned it in a mysterious way. Her request wasn't merely for herself. The consequence was disastrous. The future was not the subject of Chrissy's intrigue. They had to do with the silently rearing child she already had. Backlash against Jim became more intense. Hashtags such as hashtag Jim News and hashtag 20 years wasted began to gain popularity. She gave him loyalty, love, and time. He gave her excuses. 20 years gone. She deserved better, said one widely shared thread. If he really knew about this kid and still kept her waiting, asked another. Her time was wasted, but so was his. His entire life was a waste. Then the last twist appeared. A purportedly leaked audio recording from a private phone conversation that took place between Jim and Chrissy a few weeks prior to the reunion recording. Jim's voice was raw on the video, begging, "Just don't treat me that way on TV. Chris, you know what it will look like. You know I'm not perfect, but I love you." Chrissy's response was devastating, icy, and solid. Words cannot express how much you love me. Cammy, never on the scene. Potential is no longer my life. Any illusions were shattered by the audio. Fans showered Chrissy's page with encouragement and complimented her for having the guts to finally leave. But there were several charges of manipulation, time wastage, and emotional neglect in Jim's remarks. The Die Pet legend was portrayed as the antagonist of his own love tale for the first time in his career. rather than as Harlem's hero. VH1's lack of response just made the outcry worse. While threatening to boycott future seasons, fans demanded answers. If the network didn't fix the leaks, rumor had it that Jim was in negotiations to give his version of events in a documentary. Nobody could predict whether it would restore his reputation or further damage it, but Chrissy seems unconcerned. A calm picture of herself on a beach was shared by her a few days after the drama reached its peak. Smashing waves behind her, her wedding band sparkled in the light. "Closure looks good on me," was the last straw, according to the caption. She was not turning around. She was not giving an explanation. The woman was without charge. However, the story didn't stop there. One late night, admirers saw Jim standing outside a studio with his head down and his hood up. He said to himself, "Paparazzi swore." In just a few minutes, the picture became viral, saying, "Forever ain't forever," provoking discussions over whether Jim was recovering from his past or preparing for a comeback. And then, there was the unexpected cliffhanger. Harlem Truths hinted of a final leak. There will be one mysterious post-DNA result tomorrow. Pay attention. The web froze. If accurate, this might provide the definitive response to the query that had plagued followers for days. Was the father of Chrissy Lampkin's child actually Jim Jones? Or had 20 years been squandered pursuing an unattainable dream? The final reveal was about to take place. There was yet more to the romance that typified reality TV for a generation. That was broken, cracked, and rewritten in front of the world. The greatest explosion was still to come, and everyone knew it. And that's it, family. We weren't intended to hear that story. VH1's attempt to conceal the truth and the receipts that wouldn't go away. Jim Jones's quiet was broken. Chrissy's calm came out. On the internet, a DNA bombshell was promised for tomorrow, and the face of a secret child was blurred. This is more than simply rumors. History is being rewritten in real time here. You'll miss the moment if you blink. Everything is altered. This is a question for you. Was Chrissy's 20 years of yearning for a V-man who never appeared? Or did Jim waste 2 decades acting as though he had an eternity to get it right? And who is going to leave with their case resolved when that DNA test is dropped and the last piece of the puzzle is unveiled? And who will be left in ruins? Avoid merely scrolling past this. Do more than merely observe in quiet. Click like now if you think Chrissy has finally found closure. If you want to be here when the truth comes out, hit the subscribe button. I can assure you that the upcoming chapter will be more surprising, messy, and noisy than anything we've seen thus far. And leave a remark underneath. Always be on the side of truth. Team Chrissy or Team Jim, because there is no doubt that the receipts will continue to arrive. Additionally, you should be in the front row when they strike. Continue to be locked in. The tale is not finished yet, and it's only getting started. The tale is not finished yet, and it's only getting started.